the percentage of people who actually operates on the basis of reason and evidence is not as much as those who question the truth. It takes a level of mind engineering. I like to use the word to get to that point where you base everything you do on reason and evidence. My reason is not perfect. Growing up, we are taught and indoctrinated to operate on the basis of a particular belief system and the norms of the society. We are taught to be straight-jacketed and following the path. You find out that a child who operates on the basis of reason and evidence is usually the scapegoat, the black sheep of the family. So if you find yourself in a position where everybody says, let me say it in my dialect, meaning she never listens, it means that you're doing something right. You are actually questioning why. You are asking the right questions. The why, the where, the when, the who. Thank you. So these questions actually put you on that pedestal where you operate on the basis of reason and evidence, and you are usually one in maybe 20. Until you come to a gathering like this, or you are lucky enough to find like minds earlier in your lifetime. I can say that apart from training that I've had previously, I can say that coming into this community has also helped me a lot. Because I have come to realize that I'm not alone in my kind of reasoning, and I found people to think alike. Thank you, Diane.
I am the kind of person that questions everything. Even while growing up, I question basically everything, to the point that I even question the existence of God. And sometimes when I talk, people see me like I'm mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Now, I live my life based on my experience and intuition. Growing up, right, I grew up from a Christian home. We were basically forced to church. In fact, beaten most of the times to go to church. And then you will find me leaving the church, let's say 30 minutes into the church, whatever it is that is going on. You find me playing outside. You find me, exploring and doing lots and lots of things. And as time goes on, my family started seeing me like I am, a possessed child or something. Yes. Like every other person goes to church, but when they ask you to go to church, you don't go to church. And I started going to church just to please them or to please people around me. Because as a result of that, I lost a lot of friends. But then one day it came to me again, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? What is this person telling me that I don't know? Like, what's the idea of God and his existence that this person has to tell me that I don't know already? Because if we quote from the Bible, the religious people quote from the Bible that ye are gods. I am also a god. So which other god are you telling me about? Do you understand? But then they come with the idea of you didn't just create yourself. You didn't just come into existence and stuff. But then I am like, okay, that aside. And then the aspect of the way of programming people, telling people that you cannot be prosperous if you're not a Christian or if you don't go to church and stuff. I have my reservation on that because everything has to do with the mind. Everything has to do with what you program for yourself. If you're always living in fear, you're always living in confusion, those are the kind of minds that are easily manipulated. If you know yourself and you know what you can do, you know that nobody needs to tell you before you do it. Just like she said, what's her name? Sorry, Tamaris. She said that, first of all, listen to your body, what your body tells you. But most of us ignore. Also, our mind, whenever your mind tells you to do something, you don't do it at that particular point in time. You lag about it, or you just ignore. And there are consequences for that. It's called, I don't know what they call it. I think it's called, is it cause and effect or something? I don't know how. Yes, cause and effect. You get, when you're supposed to do something, you don't do it. And then when there's a repercussion, you now look for somebody to blame. Or maybe it's because I didn't go to church. Or maybe because I didn't pray. You know, or maybe because you know, things like that. Or maybe because I'm not a Christian.
Everyone. Okay, this is my own contribution to my own belief. My name is Victory, and it's my first time at attending this gathering. Okay, as a child, I grew up with my grandma, and she attends White Garment Church. There was this period whereby I do attend it with her though. This period whereby they came up with a prophecy that I needed to come to the church. They call it protection for 3 months. I wasn't just the only person. So during that time, I told them I wasn't going to go for it because deep down inside me, it doesn't sit down well with me. I was just 10 then. The beating I received. But regardless the beating, I didn't go. I was stubborn, and it triggered some talks from my uncle, grandma. My dad was here in Abuja. They called him, They said, okay, the prophecy was that at the age of 20, that they are seeing me dying at the age of 20. And if I don't want that to happen, I'm supposed to come for a protection. So I didn't go. During the time of the protection, some of the other girls that went for the protection, I was at home. And then we got the news that one of them inside there, her name is Amarachi, God rest her soul. That was after 2 weeks. This protection was supposed to be for 3 months. After 2 weeks, she died inside the church. So I went to my grandma and I asked her, Ma, don't be offended though. But does it mean that even while in the presence of God, the protection cannot protect her? Because I am confused to the reason why she would die, even while observing the protection. And I'm more than 20 years now, and I'm still alive. And I didn't go for that. There was this certain time again whereby my uncle's phone went missing. Instead of them to look for the phone, they were like, call the prophet. He's going to know where the phone is. And then they called the prophet. And the prophet, during this time, there was these 3 boys that came around. And the prophet was like, ask those 3 boys. They are the ones that took it. So they went back. These guys have already gone home. They sent my brothers, the older ones, to go and find them. They brought them back. And then they were like, we didn't take any phone. And as the argument continued, I went inside. I saw the phone on the bed. It actually turns out that my uncle gave me that phone to keep inside, but I forgot that the phone was inside. And I came out and said, this is the phone we are looking for. At that time, my dad's last born, he was not like, Shebi una say prophet talking at this boy shows the phone. And then he do attend the church, and that was the last time he went to the church. And then I came to a belief that there are some things that doesn't really make sense to me. I've always been this person who questions some things. When it seems off to me, I question it, I make my research, and I come to a conclusion that this is not what I want to follow. And the reason why I am not in the white garments line that my family is in is because from a very little age, I have always seen their stuffs and the things they do as odd. So I came to a conclusion and I made my decision that I don't want to be here because people are here or the people who lead me are here. I want to be here because I feel accepted and I feel right doing it and being here.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Osita. So this is a great conversation. I say it's a great conversation because this is the kind of things that we need, the kind of questions that we need to be asking ourselves in this part of the world. Africa, and particularly Nigeria, we consume a lot of value system, belief system that we import from the West that we don't even know why it exists. So, but at the same time, we need to have this at the back of our mind. There are going to be a lot of pushbacks. The society that we are living in has a lot of values that people just expect you to behave in a certain way. And sometimes, or most times, when you ask questions, it seems as if you are being defiant. But asking a question is not defiance. Is you trying to be logical, you try to, follow something, follow a belief system, follow what you want to do, what you are hearing based on logic, based on reason. Right, because, the difference between us and developed societies is that developed societies have come to question things while we're still backward because we just want to do things the way they are being done. So it's a great conversation and I am so glad and excited to be part of it. So I think
I like this question. My name is Asupo. This is my first time being here. So it depends on the stages of our life. That's what I believe. Like there are some things we are told in our stages of our life that this thing, don't do it. You scold the child and say don't do this, and then he does this thing and you beat the child and the child says, okay, I'm not going to do this because my parents don't want me to do it, right? So at that stage, I think we can't really say anything for ourselves. It depends on the stage you find yourself, even in adulthood. You're handicapped, you can't really do much for yourself. So you decide to take that intake that this is the least I can do. I mean, I'm being told to stay here, I'm being told to do this, I'm being told to get. But then there's another stage you get to, the mental awareness. You are being obsessed is okay, and then like, oh no, this thing that was told is not the right thing to be. So you now decide to retake what you've been told before and say, okay, I have to revalidate this if this thing is true or not. And then during that process, you can now say, these are the evidences I've been able to see. I've decided to keep this, or I decide not to keep this. That's my own thing.
Okay, so I want to talk about the person of your belief based on reasoning alone. I want to say most times it reflects based on your upbringing, your background. Now, like he said, from the Yoruba perspective, you naturally don't question certain things. I was born and bred in the north. Now, a bit of that applies to me as well. Most times you're born into a certain belief. You're expected to just run with it. Don't question. Just hold on to it and work with it, right? People that were exposed to but let's say more civilization, like those that were going in Lagos and the rest of them,
most of them learn to question some things, all right? But we were given the opportunity to do that. So when you're given a rule, all right, this is how it's done. Just go with it and don't question. Now I want to talk about another part is when you're born into a religion. Most times you don't question how things are done there because this is where you're born into, right? So if you're born into a Christian family, you just grow with that Christendom. You don't maybe much later in life you can begin to ask questions, right? But as you're growing, this is all you know. You wouldn't necessarily know which is right and which is wrong. Is the Christian faith right? Is the Muslim faith right? Is the idol worshiping right? You just move with what you're born into. So most times we really don't question. We just believe in what we're born into and we go with it. Thank you.
I paraphrase the truth until it tells me what I want. I say that because when I was growing up and I had my first period, my mom was like, "You're not a woman. Don't go near a man. If you go near a man, you will get pregnant." Yes, or if a man touches you. So I thought about that thing. Then we've not been exposed to anything negative as how it is now. Like you just go online, you see things and stuff. I was still in the dark, some of. But I was like, why would it be like that? I asked her, why is it that if a man just touches you, you will get pregnant? She said that's what she's telling me. I must not know why. So when it happened, I now went to school. And when I went to school, I told my seatmates that we should exchange. She should go to that place and let that boy come and sit on my seat. She was like, no, what happened? I said, let her just go there. Let that boy come and sit. I wanted to know how it will happen that if I just go close to someone, I will be pregnant. And it happened. The guy came, though he didn't stay for long. He sat and he said he wanted to go back to the seat and he left. And I stayed. I didn't get pregnant. Sometimes I will check because he said sorry to say, if you get pregnant, you will not see your period again. Later on, I'll run to the bathroom to go and check. Maybe it has stopped and all that. Until I grew up with this and I found out that no, they were just exaggerating those things and it is not what it is. Secondly, we were told that there is a belief system that if you sweep your house at night, you are driving blessings or driving money from the house. And when my mom I don't know, when she hears those things, she now believes it immediately. So she said, okay, even if we sweep, we should not practice. We should leave it. It didn't sit well with me. I will always ask, why? So what is the essence? Is it this thing is dirty? So how is it preventing riches and everything? And I will throw it away. Until now, she still says me, I ask a lot of questions and I do. Okay.
Then tell us why. If you think to interrogate someone before you force out truth from the person, tell us why. You people will just go straight to the answer. But anyway, since we don't have that, let's go. Go. I think for me, I love seeing reasons and evidence before I will believe. You cannot just come and say, if I drink water in the morning, I will be healthy. You must see let me see from your body. Then secondly, you think if you want to, I think the other one they say, oh, that is a question. So you need to choose. I just want to touch it so that we'll go. I think to interrogate someone before bringing out the truth, I think we have a barrister here, if I'm not mistaken. I think if you go to law court, if someone comes to this room and shoots someone now, so far the gun is not found, they're all suspect. Yes. They will interrogate us one after the other. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so you know who killed the person. It's from that interrogation, right? Maybe a close analysis might say, okay, who is the next person to the person they killed? That person might even be somebody we can actually suspect more. I think. Okay, so for me, I choose number one. I need reasons and evidence before I can believe. Thank you.
My name is Paul. Based on the question and because of time factor, more direct. At this age, all of us here are adults. Based on our beliefs, we have background. Many of us have stayed through that background because of that pattern that is related, because those of us have learned about mindset, which environment can play a part. I think when you're in a journey of discovery, that's how they say this generation is generation of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And I believe there are many of our beliefs that we are still unlearning. There are so many mysteries, so many reasons why we don't know why we are having some. We have developed an positive mindset to try to find out what the reason behind my belief and what's the impact of that belief.
Wow.
Because if you want to change something, you must know the condition and you must know how it's possible. That's why it's studying, exposure is part of the way to change your mindset. And mind engineering is part of the system, helping us to ask questions about our belief system.
Wow.
This subject matter we are discussing is something that personally I had issues with it. Because maybe me and my friend, okay, let me make it background. When I was in the polytechnic, I was very active. I was this church kind of guy. Like, I believe I would maybe eventually be a man of God and the rest like that. So, at some point, when I got to the university, things begin to go, dive and everything. So, my commitment began to dwindle and I began to ask questions. But one thing I realized, even from this subject matter we are discussing, is that you can even in the process of you trying to interrogate truth, you can still have a faulty lens from your background. You can interpret things even from a faulty lens. Now, like as she said already, that she compares positively. I'm trying to be like her because me, all those contention and all those things, I love to interpret things the way they are. Not I have it in the future and I will tell you this is what it is. But the real definition of a rebel in this part of the world is somebody who tries to question things, especially from maybe your parents or people that are older than you. Being a real man person, you dare not question what you were told. You understand? And as time goes on, and sorry, my time is almost up, but let me just say this. I grew up in a when I was with my parents in the village, they do a lot of idol worshiping and pouring oil on something, pouring this on that. And at some point when I began to question these things, you understand, it was as if we were having like a conflict between
and why I see that is that based on my parenting style, based on how I was my mom was we had that, So what will be time her style of parenting is based on her parents. So at that point, even while I was growing up, I must tell me to do this. I must evidence that actually what your parents is actually working. While I was growing up, my mom told me that around 5 or 6 there is this director that came based on that. So I went on one occasion we went to, because my mom was a civil servant, when we can come to Kira's house. First, immediately I just yeah. Why? Because it's so to question, based on my parenting style, I believe whatever there must be an evidence. Even the business I'm able to pay, I saw evidence from someone who has some evidence. So that's just a conclusion. How